You are this thing that lives inside of my head and is constantly telling me how much of a horrible person I am, that it has made me numb to everything. You have the audacity to call me a horrible creature. You! No, I am not. No, if anything, I'm the same thing here. For the last little bit, I have been talking about various things, letting you get a glimpse, so to speak. And it's really difficult. It's really difficult to pull back the curtains. Even if it's only one room of an entire mansion that you get to see. The writing is on the wall. I won't make no bones about it. The writing is on the wall. See, there are some people in this community who think they know me. But you have to be paying attention. You have to be listening. People are afraid. They're afraid to breathe, to live, to have any semblance of control in their own life. A lot of us fight for control in our life, especially if we've grown up in a very dark and twisty childhood. Giving you a look at inner demons is hard because you have to let the inner demon out, so to speak. And while a lot of the videos have been dramatized, the fact still remains. Dealing with inner demons is the most taxing thing ever, and it puts a lot of fear into people's minds. People are afraid to show the dark and the twisty and the damaged and the broken. But at the same time, can't really use that against them. You have to say all of the mean, nasty things about yourself so that nobody else can say them about you. And I think as people, one of the reasons we might do that is to defend ourselves. If I cut myself, you can't cut me. If I bleed, you can't make me bleed. If I put it out there, you have nothing to say. Pain is something we don't talk about. Darkness is something we don't talk about. Death is something we don't talk about. Fear is definitely something we hide from. We don't let anybody see our deepest, darkest fears because we're afraid that they'll leave or they'll run away. And as humans, we're social creatures. We need that social construct. We need that acceptance from our peers. We need that love from other people. In reality, you don't need any of that. You have to survive. And that's what I've been doing for the last 30-some years, is surviving. A dead mother in the ground, an abusive uncle, a neglectful family, going to school black and blue, going through the system, manipulating, deceiving, lying, getting what I need to get in order to survive, making sure I graduate high school, making sure I graduate college. See, nobody in my life did that for me.
had to do that myself. Because at the end of the day, it really is all about me. And I don't mean that in some strange context where it's like, oh, everything is about you. No, in reality, everything is about me because I'm the one who has to survive. I have to survive all of the internet bullshit. I have to survive all of the people who want to be my friends to social climb off of me because they see that I'm doing successful. I have to survive all of the abuse. I can't trust anybody because I don't know who is out to get me. I don't know if they're going to try and take something from me. I don't know what they want from me. I have to be very, very careful in who I pick my friends. Because at the end of the day, those are the people that are going to be with you. Those are the people that are going to stick by you. Those are the people that really know you. And even then, I don't trust them. Even then, I don't trust a single fucking thing that comes out of their mouth because you never know if they're after you. You have to be very careful with what you tell them. And you have to swing the first punch. Survival for me is the fear of not knowing what's coming down the road. I have to be in control of everything. The finances, the income, the housing, the food, the payments. Everything has to be calculated, constructed, and put together perfectly. Because if it falls apart, you're fucked. Literally. And that fear of being fucked is what makes me fight. You know, as a kid growing up in the system, manipulating, lying, deceiving, using people, throwing them away, making sure I get what I need is exactly how I grew up. Now you might look at recent situations and think, oh, you've used these people. No. And yes. I used them for friendship, for foundation, for somebody to care about, for somebody to care about me. Some individuals don't want that. Some individuals want to use you. And when they can't use you because you see through their games, you see right through them, into their bullshit and their fuckery, when they realize that they can't use you because you're too busy using them, they do what I did as a kid. They throw you away. I've run across, as a child, a lot of people who quickly realized my end game. But as a kid, I was always 2 steps ahead. I knew the right words. I knew the right things. I knew how to apologize without meaning it. I knew how to rope them in, tangle them in my web, and get rid of them once they've served their purpose. Because as a kid in the system, you have to fight tooth and fucking nail to have your voice heard. And if you have to burn a few bridges, bust a few kneecaps, break a few jaws, not literally, of course, figuratively, then do it. It's about surviving. It's about the fear of the unknown. I graduated high school and was applying for college, and I had this distinct memory of just trying to get through the situation that I was in at the time. I dated a drug dealer. He was a coke dealer. We'd party at this gay bar every weekend. I'd work 5 days a week, party for 3. Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. Do it all again. Why the hell would I date a coke dealer? Because he had money, and I needed money. He had money, and I needed it. And I knew how to use sex appeal to get what I wanted. Now you might be thinking, oh my god, did you sleep with him for money? No, that would be dumb. I stole his money, and I went to college. I never slept with him. Not once. Coke dealers are scummy and gross. I fucked his roommate, but whatever. But it's all about surviving and the fear of the unknown. When you grow up with the life that I've had, you'll do whatever it takes to survive. You'll keep the people that are really close to you because they have something that you can use to survive. They have something that you need. Now, as I've grown from 18 to 30, I've quickly had to understand where to draw a line between you're my friend because I need something from you, and you're my friend because you're actually my friend. And it's difficult sometimes knowing which line you're on. But the line is always don't trust anybody. Don't trust anyone. Because they will hurt you. They will leave you. They will abandon you. Keep them close, but not too close. Because one day they will leave. And you might be sitting there thinking, I know you, and I'm not going anywhere. You'd be wrong. You don't know anything about me, and you are going somewhere. Maybe not today, maybe not this week, maybe not next month, maybe not next year. But you are going somewhere. I value the friendships that I've accumulated in this community. But I also realize that it's the internet, and at the end of the day, you click end call, and you close your laptop, and they're gone. And they don't think about you, and you don't really think about them. That's how it is. You're alone. You can't be afraid of that. You cannot be afraid to be alone. You can't be afraid to burn bridges. Because at the end of the day, it's all about surviving. Now, where does fear come into all of this? It should have been pretty obvious. The fear of abandonment, the fear of being left, the fear of being alone, the fear of being fucked because you don't have the money, the fear of life, being afraid to live because you're waiting for that other shoe to drop. 30 years, I'm always waiting for that other shoe to drop. I'm waiting. I'm watching. I'm calculating. And I'm ready to make the move before it does drop. Sometimes I make it prematurely. Definitely. Sometimes I end things. And then when I look back at them, I'm like, I see why now it had to end. And you might be thinking, well, why would you do that? Because you never know who's going to fuck you over. You never know who's going to leave you. You never know who's going to start talking shit behind your back. And you never know who's in it for themselves. As an adult, I don't need to use anybody. I don't need to manipulate anybody. I don't need to lie to anybody, and I don't need to deceive anybody. Because the internet means nothing to me. I turn off my computer, I go to bed, I turn on Netflix, and I get baked. And who the fuck cares? Because at the end of the day, it is the internet. But there are some friendships you have to hold very close to yourself because you know them. You've digged into them. You've looked at everything. And you've talked to them. But you always have to realize that you can't trust anybody. Trust is earned. It's not given. And I never give it. Even to my closest of close friends, who I go on road trips with, I'll never give trust to them. Not fully, not completely. You always have to have an escape hatch. You always have to have a back door. You always have to be prepared to run. Because that's what I do, is I run. I run from the pain, I run from the suffering. I don't need that. So I pack up and I run. I'm unapologetic. I refuse to apologize. Because I'm surviving. It's what I've had to do for 30 years, is survive. You run, you survive. You play the game, you survive. You don't, you die. It's that simple. There's a popular kids song, and it has a line, "Life is but a dream." It's a fleeting moment of existence, and if you don't make the best of that moment, you've wasted it. Some people go out and have tons of friends and relationships and family, and they're empty, pathetic, and void. They have nothing inside of them. Then you get the other people, like myself, who watch and pay attention and ask questions. But you have to ask the right ones, because if you don't, then you look like an idiot. Then you have to take that information and use it. Use it to your advantage. Gain the upper hand. Survive. Because the fear is that you won't see tomorrow. You won't have a job tomorrow. You won't have that friend tomorrow. You won't have that boyfriend tomorrow. You have to survive. It's the fear of surviving. It's the fear of not surviving. Now, that might paint me as a really horrible person, but if you realized where I come from, the darkness I have seen, the depths of despair I have been to, you will realize that it is always about surviving. You are always surviving. Don't ever think that you're not. Because it's always about surviving. My fears are pretty obvious. Like I said, fear of abandonment, fear of loneliness. But I do what needs to be done. I keep people close so that I feel loved and warm. But I keep them just far enough away that if they walk, okay. Sometimes you have to be cold and calculating. Sometimes you do have to use people. Sometimes you have to burn bridges. And sometimes you have to burn the whole house down. Sometimes the whole city. Doesn't fucking matter. It's all about survival. Now, I do have 2 friends on this platform. You've seen them in my live chats. I keep them close, but not too close. Because you never know. You never know. And I've been through shit on this platform. People I thought I could trust. People I thought were my friends. People I thought I could confide in. Ooh, you learn real fucking quick. You learn real fucking quick. You learn who the social climbers are. You learn who the drama queens are. And you learn who really wants to be your friend. Because real people, real friends, they don't leave each other because shit gets tough. They don't leave each other because one gets embroiled in drama. They don't leave each other because one says something the other person doesn't like. They don't leave each other because something happens. They stick by you. And the people that leave, they're not worth it. They're not worth having in your life. They're not worth even considering. Those are the people you have to be careful of. Those are the ones you don't want to get too close to. Those are the ones you want to keep at arm's fucking distance. Life is but a dream. It's a scary, terrifying, morbid dream. And you have to survive it. It's going to become a nightmare. It's going to become dark. It's going to become messy. You have to survive. You have to do whatever it is you have to do to survive. It's all about surviving. You have to know how to play the game. Because it really is all a game. Social constructs are a game. Which crowd do you belong to? It's a game. Who can you use to get forward, and who do you want to keep close to bring forward with you? It's a game. It's all a fucking game. In social media, it's so easy to see who's playing the game and who's not. And who's playing it wrong. Because you can play it wrong. You social climb, you abuse, you use. There's a difference between using somebody to survive and using somebody to get ahead. It's not about getting ahead, it's about making sure that you can survive, because the fear at the end of the day is that you're not going to survive. That is the fear that I've grown up with. That is the fear that holds me back. You can't be worried about what Cindy Lou Who down the street is doing or saying. If she's talking shit about you, keep her close. She's your enemy. Keep your ear to the ground, pay attention to what she's saying. Use it against her. Take what she's saying and use it against her. Burn her before she burns you. Leave her before she leaves you. Especially if she's a so-called friend. Or a lover. Because remember, it's all about surviving. Fear is what's driven me my entire life. Fear. Am I going to have a roof over my head tomorrow? Am I going to have food on the table tomorrow? Am I going to have clothes on my back? Do I have a car or some kind of transportation? Do I have a job? Fear of not having any of those is what drives me. I'll do whatever it takes, no matter the cost. Because I'm a survivor. And when you're a survivor, you do what you need to do. It's not pretty sometimes. You don't really want to talk about it. You want to bury it. You want to hide away from it. Because you don't want to be seen as a horrible human being at the end of the day. You don't want to be seen as a social climber when you're not, and you're just trying to survive. And you don't want to be seen as an asshole who uses people and then talks shit behind their back, because that's not going to get you anywhere. You have to be smart, calculating. You have to know 5 steps ahead of what that person's planning to do, or say, or think. And I'm guilty of not knowing 5 steps ahead. I was always taught to think before you speak. And as I got older, it became more clear. It became way more clear. As a kid, I never understood it. Why would I want to think before I speak? I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to expose you. I'm going to burn you. I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to drag you through the mud. But there's a smart way to do it. I was watching Animal Kingdom, and this saying totally resonates with me. If you can get somebody else to do the work for you and still get the same outcome, do it. And I thought, that's some queen level shit right there. That's some queen motherfucking level shit right there. If I can get somebody else to do something for me, I'll get them to do it. As long as it benefits me and I get something out of it. Now you might be sitting at your computer thinking, Jesus, are you using me? Are you manipulating me? Are you deceiving me? If you know me, you'll be able to answer that question honestly and truthfully, and you'll get your answer. But if you don't know me, you'll have to figure it out. How to tell if somebody is using you? Look for the signs. Do they care about you or your life at all? Or are they pretending to care? What are they really getting out of it? What are you offering them? How are they benefiting? How are you benefiting? There's smart ways to use people. As a kid, I would employ it all the time. You care just enough. You give them just enough. And then you take everything they have and you burn them to the ground. In my early 20s, it was hard to break away from that. Because I was in college, trying to keep the roof over my head. So I would use guys all the time. Free meals. Go on Plenty of Fish. Get them to chat on MSN. Get them to go out with me for dinner. Oh, I don't get paid till next week. Do you mind paying? Oh, you want to sleep with me now? No, thank you. Maybe next time. That asshole didn't realize I used him for food and threw him away. If they're rich, stick around. Don't sleep with them, but stick around. Free drinks, free food. It's almost like a relationship. You know, it was really all about getting free food out of them. Because at that time I was going to college and I didn't have any money for food. It was all going towards college and keeping the roof over my head and the bills paid. So I didn't have any food. Rice and Coca-Cola wasn't doing anything for me. I didn't have animals before that or during that time. You know, I didn't get my first cat until I was graduated college and I was stable with income and all that fun stuff. But it really is, at the end of the day, it's a fear of surviving. It's a fear of not knowing. It's a fear of being rejected. It's a fear of being left. It's a fear, you know. And when you let them control you, you go into survival mode. You go into a mode where you'll do whatever it takes, regardless of the consequences, to survive. It's all about surviving. You know. You might think that's a really shitty way to live. And it was. It was a very shitty life. Constantly being afraid. Constantly being on the lookout, on the run, metaphorically speaking. And then you get yourself involved in YouTube. And it becomes a whole other level of fuckery. You got people coming at you left, right, and center. You gotta survive. You have to find a way to survive. And you can't trust anybody on this platform. Not unless you physically live next door to them and go over every day and have coffee with them. Because who they are online and who they are when they're chatting to you on Google Hangouts or Facebook or whatever social media platform you use to communicate with your subscribers, you never know what they're really like offline or what they're saying about you or what they're thinking about you. You might all be my tubies, but that don't mean I trust a single one of you. I can't trust you. And you can't trust me. Because it's a game. It's all about surviving. It's not about popularity. It's not about getting ahead. It's not about gaining more subscribers. It's not about, you know, fucking over Cindy Lou Who so that you get whatever she has. Because then you're just an asshole. about surviving. And sometimes you have to be an asshole to survive. Sometimes you have to play every card you have. Sometimes you have to fold in certain situations. And sometimes you have to hold the card so close to your chest that it may do irreparable damage to everything around you. But you know at the end of the day that that's the truth. That that's the honesty. And you have to run with it. It's not about being dark and twisty. It's not about having inner demons. It's about the fear of not knowing if you're gonna make it to tomorrow. And fighting tooth and fucking nail to survive. Sometimes you have to fight. Be damned, the consequences. Most people probably think that I'm some crazy, psychotically deranged, dramatic person who thinks that, I don't know. You might say, oh, you can let in all the love and the light. It's all bullshit. Don't throw your new agey bullshit.